Cindy?
I am in Grass Valley, California.
Oh,
So just a 9-hour drive from you, no problem. A little north toward Tahoe.
okay. Cindy?
Yeah.
All right, so let's get started, folks. An audience of one, but we'll take that. Sharon, thank you for attending. Welcome to our, I'm sure we'll have more folks join in a little bit later, but I wanted to welcome everyone for our October fireside chat on the business of marketing and importantly the data side and how data arrives, helps you arrive at some key decisions. And joining me today is Cindy Z, but the last name is Zuelsdorf. I think I get it close. And Cindy is an accomplished author. She's showing off some books in the back. There you go. And we'll talk about those books. So again, I'm Sanjay Dalal, the founder and CEO of oGoing, and happy Friday to everyone. Happy Friday to Cindy. Cindy, how are you doing?
So good and really happy to see you again, Sanjay, and glad to see everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for joining. Thank you, Sharad, for joining. And I want to share my
My
screen
pleasure.
quickly and talk a little bit about what's going on. So there we go. So again, welcome to our fireside chat today, the business of marketing on October 29th, 2021. I'm the host, Sanjay B. Dalal, and wanted to start with a quote which is very important in marketing today. And Cindy, we talked about that briefly earlier. And these days, people want to learn before they buy, be educated instead of being pitched. And this is by Brian Clark. And Cindy, maybe you can educate us as to why this trend has happened and why this is even more important today.
I'm so glad you brought this quote out, Sanjay. I love this so much. This speaks to the way I like to do business and the when we're working with our clients. We suggest be the expert in the field. Now, Sharad, you wouldn't pick the word expert, but let's see, we'll change it to be the go-to in the field. Like if
Yeah.
someone's got a question about a topic, whether it's a technology or just how to tackle a problem, if your perfect customer, your clients, your prospects think of you, you're educating them. That's great because they begin to know, like, and trust you. And later, when they're ready to buy, after they're educated and they know what they need to know, they're going to turn to you first because you were the one that came to them with that source of information. So I love this approach to business, Sanjay.
Absolutely right. I think I've seen all major businesses from the top brands all the way down to our local small businesses. I think more and more they're employing the educational part of marketing today. I think especially as both a way of differentiator, both as a way of engaging with their customers, and ultimately not selling, as it says, right, and definitely educating. So again, the focus of today's fireside chat is data drives marketing, and I think there is a lot of data that we're going to talk about, so much so that everybody's heads are going to spin. No, I'm just kidding. We'll keep it clean and keep it where it makes sense, right? Because at the end of the day, the data needs to make sense. And I think it's so easy for everybody to get caught up in the data side where you can't really make sense of what's happening out there or what's going on. So we will get into that. And a quick background of oGoing and what we are all about. We are a growing business community. It's an online community which also meets frequently, on Zoom as well as hopefully very soon face to face. We were the first starters, if you may, of fireside chats and fireside chat dinners in Orange County. We started it back in 2015 timeframe, roundtables, and now we have been doing this on Zoom for the last year and a half. But we thank all our members who have joined. Over 100,000 small business members. Our focus is small businesses, and what oGoing helps them do is it helps them boost not only their social media brand, but importantly helps them do online business networking with all the members that join. And even as an icing helps them, helps their SEO, which is again one of those things that not a lot of people get. But ultimately, what that means is it helps you get more visibility online. It helps you get more traffic to your website. It helps you get more prospective visitors and customers to look at what you're doing. And that's why customers are joining oGoing. People join every day. It's organically growing, and we thank you, for supporting us, both our members, all of our customers, our employees, to help us keep the vision going and the dream going, as I said. We have affordable social media services. oGoing is free to join. So, if you want to join today, just go to ogoing.com and join and start sharing your stories. There is absolutely no cost. And it is always going to be free. So there is no cost of joining and sharing what you do. But if you need some extra help, we have some services, and we'll be happy to help you grow your social media brand, as well as help you grow your content and your reach. And what we'll do now is do a quick roundtable with all our attendees who are here. And we'll start with Sharad Rao, who I've known in Irvine for many, many years now. I call him a consumer networker and a marketeer, but beyond that, a very tenacious business owner. Sharad, go ahead and share yourself, please, and your story.
Hi, everybody.
Quickly.
Alan, Cindy, Sanjay, everybody. It was a pleasure to be on this fire chat. Thanks, Sanjay, for inviting me. Basically, what it is, I'm sorry, Dave, Michael, Vishu, everybody. Good afternoon today. Yes, well, what basically I do is I'm a financial advisor, and also I have a fire and casualty as well as a life estate planning license. I'm licensed in over 16 states in America with over 2,000 people I help. Basically, what I do is build estates, protect and grow them. We also guarantee the money in the market, 401ks, plans that are subject to market volatility. We guarantee the principal to never lose them because of the patent we own. I'm broker to New York Life, but I do all companies. So my goal is to help people build their own portfolios. I don't sell anything, by the way. Nobody writes me a check. Everybody writes a check. I create portfolios, boxes in which they deposit their own money, fund them, and I get paid by the company. That's a different story. So anybody who comes to our meeting, the consultation is free. And I help build up portfolios with which they grow, and they can actually reduce their taxes and maximize their Social Security as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Sharad, for joining. And I'm always learning, from, business owners, professionals, folks who have done well. And one of the things I love about Sharad is he doesn't, even if you say you're busy, he will find a way to find time so he can educate you on what's going on or what kind of things are good for you. And what I like about that is, his tenacity, the approach that he has, without being rude about it, right? So he does it in a way where,
no stepping on toes.
No stepping on.
No aggressiveness, only assertiveness.
Assertiveness. There you go, Sharad. And that's a quality I do admire about you. So thanks for joining. Let's go to Alan Holmes. Alan, good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Well, the universe told me I needed to be here, man. I apologize if I'm freezing, but I got on just enough to hear the educate versus being pitched. Cindy, I love that mission, because I've actually remember when Sanjay first had a handful of oGoing members, and now it's over 100,000 plus. I'm so proud of him. I can't sit straight. I'm a proud oGoing member. But yes, Alan Holmes from Southern California, him on the way to Rancho Cucamonga with my wife. But what I do is I specialize in connecting business owners, entrepreneurs with consumers, based on a unique and innovative research. I call myself a human search engine. So there's so much information online, sideline, and with great Cindy and Sanjay for allowing me to be able to do that. I now know what my goal is in 2022, to become really aggressive and more in the going community and being of service. So I'm just glad to be here. Just want to learn from all of you. Nice to meet you, Shaul and Michael and Dave. And I'll pass the mic on to the next superstar. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this culture.
Ellen, great to see you, and thank you for being a very, very, very good long-term oGoing member and being an active member as well. So really appreciate it, and it's great to have you as part of this journey for sure. Michael Crabtree, Michael, long time. How are you doing? And you can hit the space bar or unmute the mic. There you go.
No worries. Yeah, Michael Crabtree. I'm the CEO of a company called NetCentropy. We're a cybersecurity managed services provider. So most of our clients come on board in one of two ways. They had ransomware or some sort of a data breach, and this is the non-preferred method, or they realize they have a leadership gap and they're looking for a fractional CISO. So we come in, we build a security program, and we help, align with vendors that can do remediation services, or we offer those services as well. We've been in business since 2016, and I think I connected with you, Sanjay, even before the founding of this company. It's been a few years.
Yes, Michael, we have been connected, and I'm so glad to see you. And it wasn't that like the word of the year last year, and even continuing this year.
Yeah,
It's crazy, right? What's going on there, and some of it is so amazingly premeditated, and even the biggest companies have fallen prey to this. So I think you're in a great business, the right time, right place, but ultimately helping a lot of businesses. So really appreciate that. Thank you, Mike.
no worries. Just a quick wrap up. So our focus is mid-market.
Mid-market.
I worked with United Health Group from 2014 until 2019. So I was kind of like running this business kind of on the side as a contractor. And 2020 was the year I decided to go full time into it, not knowing what was coming. And it's been a ride for sure.
Well, that's great. Congratulations on starting at the right time. And I'm sure you're going to do extremely well. Hopefully United is your number one client at this point.
Yeah. It is.
That's great, Michael. Thank you for joining. Dave, how are you doing, Dave?
We're doing pretty good overall. A few hiccups here and there.
Good to see you. Looking good as always. Las Vegas is treating you well, I'm assuming.
Yes. Can't complain any. Doesn't do any good. Business-wise, the company's National Cost Recovery Services. One way to look at it is we're prospectors. We go in and we hunt for money that's internal to your business, and we negotiate to get it back for you. And everything we do is on a contingent basis. If I don't find a savings for you, you're not going to pay me. And when I say, we're prospecting for savings, the only two things we're not looking at on your expense side is payroll, and I don't want to play in that particular pond, and the building, the brick and mortar. I can't negotiate a lease or a mortgage. Short of that, everything else expense-wise is on the table. And we're using, artificial intelligence to identify those savings. And again, and you'll never be in your pocket because the savings is acquired first, then we bill. So it's a win-win for a business. And we can go out and look, again, there's no fees up front for that.
That's great, Dave. Thanks for joining again, and I appreciate the service you're providing to a lot of businesses out there. It's nationwide, right? Are you primarily in the West Coast, or?
No, I can go anywhere in the country. And in fact, in some cases, one of my services that we have for virtual payments is we can go to Canada as well. One of our other services, in fact, I probably should have led with that, especially in California, is access to same day pay. And as of first quarter, we'll be able to send funds internationally. So, so if you've got somebody, it's a benefit to the employer. It's because there's no cost to it. And the fact that 78% of hourly workers live payday to payday, if they can access their hours worked ahead of payday, that can bail them out. It keeps them out of the 400% payday loan joints and the title loan places. And our services there, depending, it's a full up branded Visa card, debit card, so they can send money anywhere. Like I say, it'll be cross-border in first quarter, but right now they can pay their bills with it. If it's going to take couple of days to pay the bill. There's no cost. If they want instant pay to that bill, it's going to be, don't quote me, but I believe $1.99. That's, again, beats the heck out of payday loan. And it's a pretty good program. So people that are having trouble getting hourly workers, it's a benefit. And there's no cost, again, to the business.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, so that's a great service. Let's go to Diverges. Diverges, Sanjay, how are you? Thanks for joining.
Hi, how are you? Sorry, I got tied up with something else. I'm actually double booked.
No, you're good. Can you introduce yourself and what you do? Share a little bit of your story. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Diverges Jones, D for short. I'm just kind of getting my feet wet into consulting and things of that nature. I'm a marketing branding professional, big corporate stuff, Pepsi, General Foods, Bristol Myers, Mars, and Phillips. I'm really interested in the e-commerce space and trying to learn that. That's where there's an opportunity and seems like there's a lot of money to be made. So
Absolutely. I think it's a huge opportunity, and it's refreshing to see that a lot of smaller brands are coming around and leveraging e-commerce to sell their products. So it's really good.
exactly.
So thanks for joining, Diverges, and I really appreciate that. And we have Vishu here. Vishu, long time.
Thank you.
Can you use your space bar or unmute you?
Hey, Sanjay, thanks for having me. It's been it's been a long time,
Yes.
I think the last meeting we had was in like February of 2020, right? Just before the COVID lockdown.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, and then after that, things got busy on my side, at my work.
Can't hear you.
We should be a little louder here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sanjay, right? It's been like almost more than a year. I think the last meeting I attended was in like February of 2020, just before the COVID lockdown. Things has been rough for me last year with, at work and stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to go in details, but I'm a ERP consultant. Primarily I help support finance and supply chain for a big Fortune 500 company.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I had plans to start something on my own, but it's still in the works. I don't have for now like anything that I'm thinking of, but I'm just wide open to observe and learn and see, what is that a small entrepreneur or like small businesses need, and maybe I can find something that I can come up with to help
Sure.
entrepreneurs, right? I mean, being on an entrepreneur journey or trying to do that, I can see the difficulty of, taking that first step, right? It is really hard, especially for a guy who's been like, you are at a point where like, work is given to you, you do a good job and everyone claps for you, but that's simple, right? Doing something on your own, that's a challenge. And I've been trying to solve that for probably 2 years. And, I have a lot of ideas, but, I just hesitate to make that step because, you have to juggle multiple things, right? One is the finance, you have to make sure you have a roof over your head, provide, food for kids and stuff like that. So it's always scary, right? The easier path is to work for someone, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I come here, even before the COVID hit, I was just there admiring the folks who take the small steps and do different things, right? It's very, very unique where I found someone, trying to build games and sell it, someone like, coming up with an idea to like, master the stock market. So it has been a fun journey. Unfortunately, I missed it last year. So I just want to get back in the meeting to understand what folks are doing, and maybe I'll have an idea or I can help someone, come up with an idea or right something to network, meet people. So that's where I am for now.
Absolutely, Vishu, and definitely connect up. In the chat you can connect up with Michael here, Michael Crabtree. He took a leap of faith last year, and maybe you and him can do some online networking or have a conversation later on. But I think it'd be good to see, because it appears he was on a similar journey and he has now jumped into entrepreneurship. In a slightly different segment, but I'm sure there is some correlation there.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's begin the fireside chat. So let me share with you the screen again quickly, and thanks all for sharing your stories and and your journeys and where you are. It's always, it's always something new that we are doing and exciting. And along came Cindy Z, or Cindy Zuelsdorf. Cindy and I hooked up a few months ago. We had another fireside chat on marketing, with her previous book, and now she has another book that she is coming out with, or already came out with, with a lot of women authors, and she just keeps going, and it's great to connect with her online as well as face to face on Zoom, and on LinkedIn and oGoing as well. And so, Cindy, we have this amazing fireside chat today on marketing, and we're going to make sense out of this. Cindy, can you see all this?
Oh, you've got it all.
The
right
maze
there.
of, I call it the maze of marketing data, and what we want to educate our audience today is what really matters, because it is a maze. It's so easy to get caught up into everything you see here, and so difficult to focus on that one thing in the middle, which is what matters to the business owner, the CEO, or the one who pays the check, if you may. And it's all about conversions, and how many customers are you really converting. And so I call this slide the maze of marketing data, and rightly so, because there is a lot going on out there, depending on what metrics you look at. But let's dissect it down, into different things that business owners, and I would say companies do nowadays. So let's start with the favorite, which is the email blast, and the drip campaigns. And again, the question is what we are looking at, what should we be measuring, and what are some of the essential KPIs, if you're going to do something good with this. So Cindy, I know you have a lot of experience with this, so maybe you can share something, and we can all chime in.
Yes, let's all chime in. Go team, everybody together. Hey, so I loved that slide of confusion you just showed there. That sums it right up. And so email blasts and drip campaigns is definitely a thing to look at the key performance indicators, the KPIs on. And first, if I can just back up for a second, 10,000 feet, and say, depending on what business you're in, what business I'm in, whatever you're doing, I guess a thing to think about is it's hard to track all those KPIs.
Yep.
And also, like, why are they going to inform us? Are they going to help us actually have a better business? So, like, tracking numbers for the sake of numbers, zero people want to do that. That's just like too hard, and like, why, right? And so a possible way to look at it is to think about, in your own business, what are the steps along the way between someone becoming aware of you to someone purchasing. And so you can just pick arbitrary points, and then I'm really for iteration. Like, don't let perfection stop you. Start with maybe 5 things you want to track, and then like change it up if you want to change it up. But so maybe out of the maze of marketing data there, just for example, for awareness, how many people are on your list or in your Facebook group or come to your oGoing webinars or whatever the thing are? So like the sort of awareness, how many people generally are aware of you? That would be like one metric to track. And then secondly, maybe we're going to track how many people come to my events, Rotary, in-person webinar, and like online seminar, whatever, trade show booth, like who's coming to your events. Maybe that's an engagement metric, depends on your business. How many people did I get on a strategy call with? So I know, Sharad, you're doing calls all the time with people. So maybe you track the number of those per week. How many discovery or strategy calls do you do? And then of course that bottom metric's going to be how many people bought from me, or how many dollars came in, how much did I invoice, however you want to track that piece. So if you're going to track 4 or 5 steps along the way, instead of just having the slide of confusion right here, I would think of like, what is my sort of typical buyer's journey, and can I track a number or 2 along the way of that path? So I just want to throw that out there, Sanjay, and then I definitely do want to dig into the email marketing piece of it. I just want to share that top
No,
thought.
I think that is the most important point, Cindy, right? Because it's very easy to lose sight of what is it that you are really wanting to do. And
Yeah.
I think you mentioned the key phrase there, the buyer's journey. And I think that to me is critical for you to understand, especially in today's very fast marketing world that we are in, where, the buyer's, I would say, attention span is typically, in the tens of seconds and not even in the minutes. So now when you have a buyer who is inundated with a lot on their plate, how do you really respect that, number one? And number two, how do you find ways to, engage with them, in a way where they will ultimately move forward to the next stage, right? From an awareness stage all the way down to, potential, prospect, and then hopefully a customer one day. So I think you hit the nail on the coffin right there, right? In the sense of what is the buyer's journey and what can we do? And I think so one way to think about all this is position what we are showing here on the slides, in that buyer's journey, right? So for instance, where do email blasts come in, and then,
Yeah.
the drip campaigns, and again, how do you help the buyer, move forward, by leveraging this, right? So, of course, you can't do email marketing unless you have a list, and you can't just go out and buy a list because that's never going to work. So maybe share a couple of things that you have learned, Cindy, on the email
Yeah.
side of things. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I just have one thought.
Yeah.
I think too often marketers and business people in general don't focus. They don't strategically focus on what's important. I call it problem or opportunity definition. Sometimes that is not clear what the problem is or what the opportunity is, and you go off on the deep end. And I think if more, particularly small businesses and startups, would step back for a moment and determine what is the real priority, what are the real priorities, then determine which of the myriad, and Cindy knows this better than anybody, there's just a myriad of vehicles that can be used. The question is, what's right for your business? And if you haven't defined strategically where you're going, you're just in I think in just really bad shape.
I love that. I love that you said that. Yeah.
Excellent point, Diverges. And I think part of the challenge there is because there is so much going on there, right, Diverges? So I think the customer is a little bit confused. They don't know where to start.
Yeah, is it Facebook or is it Meta?
So it's wherever your customers are hanging out, right? I mean, and to your point, Dee, is what's the opportunity, what's the problem? And so in Sanjay, you're asking about email blasts and drip campaigns. So Dee, to your point, that content in the email blast and drip campaign should address the problem, so that when our perfect customer wakes up at 3 a.m. and is stressed out about something, whatever that thing is, that's our problem and our opportunity. And whatever we're doing, whether it's email or social or speaking, needs to address that problem. And you're right, this is just one of the tactics that we can use.
One of the tactics. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we could easily talk about change of subject lines. What do we need to do with email so there is more open rates on there, and now that
Yes.
you're more open rates, are they actually clicking on the buttons in your emails, or taking, are they doing the call to action? That's kind of what you want to do, right? So in our case, I was trying to get people to sign up for today's, webinar, for instance. So there's a lot that goes in, but ultimately, how does that move the needle forward for the company, where they are saying, what is this buyer's or what is this email subscriber's journey for me? And ultimately, what is it? Are they still a prospect? Are they a customer? And if they're a customer, are they going to become a repeat customer? So again, those strategic points are very important, right? So I think that it's very easy to lose sight of that. And you can just think of email as a very tactical means of just keep on sharing without thinking, or I would say breaking down your audience, into who is who. I think that's the first step you would do in an email, right?
Segmenting, yeah.
Segmenting, yeah.
Segmenting. To answer your question, Sanjay, specifically, tons of KPIs we can track, but I wanted to bring up 4 things if that's okay. So
Sure.
one of them you already just brought up is what's the open rate, and what does that look like? And we see so many changes around that. There's 3 big email providers, Microsoft, Google, and Yahoo Verizon. And Yahoo just did a big change this past week. And there's so much, we know iOS 14 changed with Apple. So some opens aren't reported anymore. So it used to be opens seemed like they were understated. And now that I think they're really understated on the reporting. And so we want to look at an open rate. If you're in the 20 to 30% range, I think that's really nice. If you're below 10%, that's a worry. So those are sort of general metrics to just kind of have.
Yep.
More important is clicking and engaging. Now, clicking's tricky because Microsoft sometimes will go through and click every link in an email before putting it in someone's inbox. So that's a little bit tricky. But clicking and engagement is what we want to go for. And so specifically, we might want, going back to your education quote earlier, to see who clicks to an educational, maybe PDF or blog post about what we're wanting to share and help people with. And so tracking that is super important. And then for you in your business, what's like the next step that someone would take, and maybe what's the step they would do right before they buy? Do they want a trial? Do they want technical specs? Do they want a quote? Do they want to meet in person for coffee? Like whatever that thing is, obviously we're moving toward that. And maybe they fill out a form to do that, or book a calendar, book on your calendar with you. So you might track opens, you might track things like clicks, downloads, and appointment booking. I kind of put that together. And then the 4th thing that I like to look at when I'm looking at email blasts and drip campaigns is lead score. So if you're using some kind of CRM or marketing automation or database tool or email tool, if that tool gives a way to track lead score, that's really just tracking engagement. So like it kind of, you get to maybe set your own rubric. Like I'm going to say, if someone opens an email, they get 1 point. If they click a link, they get 5 points. If they fill out a form, they get 50 points, or however you want to set it up. And you can look at that and go, oh, okay, this person has a big score. I should call them up, right? Now I know, let's see, who is working with ecom here? Dee, you're working with ecom. So some transactions and business just happens on email and online. I want to say for me and for most of the people I work with, there's still a phone call or an in-person visit involved before they actually buy something. And so I look at lead score as a way to know who to call and how to prioritize my day in terms of, okay. And I tell the clients that too, hey, look on here, see the lead score. This will inform you as to what to do. So opens, clicks, downloads, and appointment booking and lead score are 4 potential metrics you can track. There's tons more, but I just want to bring those 4 forward if I could.
Yeah, I think I was involved in e-commerce a while ago. So, you know, the way everything in this world works, everything changes pretty dramatically. So I'm trying to get re-indoctrinated into it. But I view e-commerce as a distribution channel. I mean, it's no different than grocery. It's no different than mass, drug, warehouse, whatever. It's a distribution channel. And if you treat it that way and understand that it's a distribution channel, then what would you do to enhance your position within that distribution channel? So that's, at least that's the way I think about it.
Nice, nice. Can I ask who's tracking any metrics around email or drip campaigns? Does anybody track anything like that? And what is that like for you?
Well, I'm not tracking any at the moment, but in my business, it works a little differently. I think, you know, email marketing and all these, I think depend on the type of business as well. See, in my business with finance, we have, especially because I'm a registered rep, we deal with market related products.
Yeah.
It's very highly compliance controlled.
Yes.
You know, every word that I put into an email, like I say, for instance, I tell a prospect, you can get so much returns. If I say you can get so much returns, immediately compliance comes and the email doesn't go anywhere. It stays there.
Yes, you have a lot
You
of
have to
compliance.
change
I
would and
understand.
could, you know, you could get something, can't say you would get something. There are so many words, you know, it's a very complex situation. So my type of marketing is not basically like, so, you know, like somebody selling a solar system or something, or somebody selling a refinance type thing, you know, because we are registered reps and we are pretty, you know, watched by compliance, FINRA.
Yeah. Yeah, understood.
So there
I
are
understand.
certain types of marketing tools that we can use and certain we cannot use. Yeah, unless, of course, it goes through our compliance department. They bless it and say, okay, now you can use this. You know, it has to be blessed. Yeah.
Well, everybody on this call is probably interested in creating better relationships with their clients. And Sharad, you've got all that compliance. So the folks I've worked with that have a lot of compliance things that happen, attorneys and insurance and
Yes.
stuff like that, we lean into educational stuff to where you might be shooting them to a blog post that you
Exactly,
know
yes.
is compliant, and you're just being the resource and building relationship and moving them toward coming to your seminar or booking an appointment with you.
You said that, yes. Come across as somebody who's giving free education, not asking them to bring their checkbook to the meeting, you know. And
Exactly.
that's the main thing. And building relationship. You know, one thing I do, which I think will help everybody in this meeting, is I have over 2,000 clients. When I didn't have that many clients, when I started off with 30, 40, I used to send out birthday cards, anniversary cards. Now I can't do that. I'll have to hire somebody to do that. Every day I'll be buying, I should buy stock in Hallmark, so, you know, just to keep sending cards, right? But what I do is every day on their birthdays or their anniversaries, I get, because they're clients, you know, I get whose birthday it is and all that. I call them on the phone and wish them in the morning. So I call them about 7:30 before they go to work, between 7:30 and 8, whichever time zone they are in. And I call them and wish them happy birthday or happy anniversary, blah, blah, blah. This I found is more effective than sending a card out, because the card can reach early, card can reach late, because we don't control the mail, right? And many times, 7 out of 10 times, I get the comment from this client of mine says, you know what, my doctor doesn't call me, my auto mechanic doesn't call me, you know, but my life insurance agent calls me. See, so that becomes a big plus, so that, you know, then it becomes a relationship builder. So
I love that. I'm totally
yeah.
stealing that. This is
Okay.
my takeaway from today, my first
Totally.
takeaway, because
Totally.
I'm here to learn from
All
everybody.
of us
I'm
learn.
sharing, but I'm so doing that. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, Sharad. You know, so we have a WhatsApp group of my like elementary school friends, you know, where we all went all the way from elementary to high school. And you know, so I grew up in India, so it's mostly everybody is in India, but quite a few friends are here in the US. And I think the group is almost 75 plus people now, and we almost know each other, except for a few. But so yesterday there was a friend's birthday, and every few days, you know, because if you do the math, you know, every few days there will be somebody's birthday. So everybody wishes through chat on WhatsApp, like happy birthday, and all that. So, you know, I'm mixing it up. So what I do is I actually personally, just on WhatsApp, you can do a voice mail or voice recording of the greeting. To what you are saying, Shada, I started doing that, and the friends are so happy to hear my voice. I don't think anything is magical about my voice, but the fact that I'm taking the time to wish them through voice happy birthday, and they then send
Sometimes
me
I play to them. I play happy birthday on my guitar and I send it as a voice, this thing, you know, I play I play the instrumental version of happy birthday, they can hear.
Simple gesture that literally takes 30 seconds, you know, makes such a huge difference. So I
See,
think
people don't like to be sold with what's going on in the way things are being done today. You know, you're constantly getting spam calls, you're getting calls for loans, you're getting calls for refinance, you're getting calls. Sometimes you get calls from IRS and you get calls from, you know, these type of people too, right? So many people nobody in America wants to be sold. They think that somebody is trying to sell them something.
yes.
So when this telemarketing has become a big problem for businesses like mine, which is a phone type business, and they think that, oh, the agent is calling or somebody is calling it, they want to sell me something. The multi-level marketing people have also, Amway and all these people have also hurt all the telecommunication business, because so we have to now resort to some other type of techniques, like Cindy was saying, give them some education, and then if there's interest, they'll come to you. So make smarter decisions. Don't try to push yourself on them.
Absolutely. Great point, Sharad. So let's look at the next tactic, if you may. What is the next tactic that helps? And our favorite, which everybody is out there posting away 24/7. And I think it is, thanks to social media, I don't think we've ever seen so much content that gets generated, every day in and day out by brands, by business owners, by people, by artists, by celebrities, you name it, and it's out there. And there's no one platform. You have Facebook and Instagram, and you have LinkedIn, and you have YouTube and TikTok and Pinterest, and the list goes on. And of course, there is your favorite oGoing, right? So the point is, what do we do on social media? It's easy to get again carried away, to Dee's point earlier, and Cindy as well talked about it. But you got to be strategic here. You can't just say, let's just share away content. So the key is, what do we do, and what is the metric here to think about, Cindy?
Oh gosh, I feel like you own a social media platform, so I'm pretty sure you've got some some good info on here. I feel like it's back to, where do your clients hang out? Where do your customers hang out? Everything in marketing is like the sales conversation written down or in video, and we're reaching out, and it only matters if we're talking about what they care about, what's in it for me, for them, and if it's where they are. Like one of my friends was telling me, like, oh, marketing's like a river, so it's just moving by, and the person's standing there, and if they happen to look up at the moment that you're on LinkedIn, you're on oGoing, that it's email or whatever the thing is, if they looked up at that moment, great. But if you didn't catch them right then, you need to keep putting stuff into the river so that the next time they look up, depending on what the channel is, that you have something there. So I think the trick is to find out, where do they hang out? So I don't think my clients are hanging out on TikTok, so I'm not really spending time there. I certainly could. I'm not saying it's not a good idea. I had to pick, like with any marketing tactics, like narrow it down to 80-20. Like, we think this 20% is bringing in 80% of the money. Like, I think that talking with people and sending email and being on oGoing and LinkedIn and Facebook are my best. So those are the ones I put time to, and I automate them so that I don't go crazy. I do stuff manually and automated to combine it. And then as far as metrics go, I guess there's two kinds of things. One is if you're doing just your organic metrics and like unpaid stuff versus paid. So those are two very, very different things. One of our clients had a new technology to talk about, and we did a little 20-second video with him and put his video on LinkedIn, and he got 750 views in one day and one appointment, and we thought that was great. Like, that was amazing. He's totally happy with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was not paid, other than the time he took, to pay us because we do work for him. So if you can kind of look at stuff and go, am I getting engagement? Am I getting appointments booked? That's great. And I a little bit view social media like having a website, in that if we don't have social media up and a client goes and checks for us on a platform and we're not there, they might think that we're not current, that we're not really there. And so I think we have to have that content there to just show that we're legit.
I think it's a great point. I mean, the key is to know where your customers are, right? So you don't have to go out and go on all the platforms, unless you're trying to be like a national or international brand, but then that's a whole different game. But I think for most businesses who tend to be local, or who are still, let's say, within California or or focused on a certain niche, I think it's very easy to find the right platform for you, right? It could be Instagram, it could be TikTok, it could be YouTube, it could be LinkedIn, definitely oGoing as well. So the point is, but be choosy of where you are, where you want to play the social media game. And then I think ultimately posting is one of the things you do. But what I find, Cindy and Dee and Rohan, who also has joined us, Rohan, thanks for joining, is interacting with, your potential customers' posts. I think that to me is a little known secret, which has a lot of impact. So if you actually find the time to see who your potential customers are and see what they are sharing, and if you actually then take the time to engage with them, I think that to me is a lot more valuable than saying, let's just keep sharing new content every day. So, but that takes effort, right? Because now you have to think about, like what Cindy said, you have to kind of do a score of who your potential prospects are on social media, where they are, keep a close eye on what they're saying. And then when they do say, find the time to engage with them. And I think, Cindy, what do you think of that, strategy there?
Yes, I wonder if anybody on the call has maybe hot list or dream list or top 50 list or whatever number you want. The top 20 people you'd love to do business with, the top 100 people you'd love to do business with. If you have that list, then we want to email them, of course. We want to call them on their birthdays. Yeah. And we want to make sure, like, are you following your prospects or are you connected with them on LinkedIn? And then to your point, Sanjay, on oGoing and LinkedIn and Facebook, wherever you're hanging out, engage with them, interact, because we want to interact with people in multiple places in multiple ways.
What role does saturation play? I had a tire problem a couple of months ago, and I was just talking to a couple of friends on the phone, and all of a sudden, never searched online, and I'm getting, an AI. How does all of this work into it? Because I find it interesting. I find it pretty scary.
Yeah. Certainly, we know that Facebook and other platforms monitor chat. So if we do anything like in DMs, that kind of thing, they're looking for keywords. Google obviously does that, and our email is looking for keywords in there, and ads are sold to us based on that. Maybe somebody on this call has different info about the audio piece and picking up. As far as I know, nobody admits to doing that yet, but I feel quite sure that's happening. Yeah.
Well, it's I think the new social network is really taken off, right? The one with the audio. It's I think it's doing
Clubhouse.
Yeah, Clubhouse.
Is that what we're
One
talking
more now
about?
to
Okay.
be said, right? So it's
another thing I would suggest for people who post things on social media is you should change your post every, say, maybe depending on the type of business you have, maybe change it every 3 days. Like I do that. I post several different things on Facebook and LinkedIn on my professional pages, say every 3 days. So I change, because what happens is if you don't change, then the person who's looking at your site says, oh, you know what, this fellow just put it there, he's forgotten about it. It's not active. So it's very important. Plus, you're giving them additional information. So it's very important that if you have anything that you're posting, it should be, changed every so often, so that people know that somebody, he's watching his websites, he's taking care of, and of course, giving more information.
Is that
those
Sanjay?
3 days.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sanjay, I want to ask, because you provide some social media services. Is that part of what you do? I actually don't know what that entails, but do you actually post for the client or set that up?
Absolutely. So we actually create content for the clients, and it takes a lot of work to build high quality content. It's easy to create crappy content. And to Sharat's point, I think you have to keep changing and keep doing things which are interesting, because one of the measurements of social media is engagement. I think it's there was a time when it was very easy to get likes. I think nowadays it's getting harder to even get people to like, because there's so much going on. But to me, the real engagement is when people are commenting or they're actually sharing the content. Folks, if you can mute your mic, if you're not chatting, that'll be great. Thank you. So the comments to me are worth its weight. If somebody actually can comment on your post, that to me is a real engagement. So I would say always look out for creating content that creates that. I know some folks I've seen, they do a really good job of tagging people when they share content on LinkedIn, for instance, or other communities. I'm not a big fan of tagging, but I've seen it work to an advantage. I don't know if you want to keep tagging the same people again and again, but that does draw their attention to your content. But make sure if you're going to tag them, it has to be something meaningful for them to use that content. So you can't just tag it endlessly. Okay.
I was in a group that would meet once a week, and then within, I don't know what it was, 30 minutes, we'd all do a post, and then everybody would go and comment on the person's post. So you'd have like a post party. Have any of you done that?
Yes, I actually have to step up now. Going, my Sanjay.
Go ahead.
I am a unique kind of bird to this. Maybe I don't know how many people, but I am an affiliate marketer, and because I've learned so much from Sanjay, and he's taught me so much, and he kind of replaced and kind of slapped my hand in a good way on certain things over the years. I've come across a group, an organization. It's called Happy Neighborhood Project. It's actually on the post that I did. The Happy Neighborhood Project, what they do is they have various different cities across the country, and they actually have those social tagging parties. And as a matter of fact, every week, I left it today because I wanted to get to this great event. Every Friday they have the worldwide event, and they have to, what they do is they ask what is the question of the day, and the question of the day every Friday is usually the same for this particular Happy New Year project is what are you grateful for? So when you talk about what you're grateful for, people will see you, and because LinkedIn is kind of their priority platform, you actually now engage them in that what you're grateful for, but that will kind of indirectly force them to go look at your LinkedIn profile that may or may have oGoing. And so some of them have what they call social posting parties, where they actually post where it turns into a person's product or service, but it's almost like the engagement in a conversation. But so that's one way to do it. And it's a very unique way to kind of, because I've got individuals reaching out to me that are vice president of sales and directors on LinkedIn. And I'm like, wow, my goodness, that's why what made me come to this great training, because I'm an affiliate marketer, but somehow because I've learned over the years because of Sanjay, I've somehow morphed into this affiliate / net nonprofit, and the individuals that I'm reaching to are just, I'm humbled that they're reaching out to me. And I wrote the gentleman's name, because I want to give credit. It's not who you know who knows you. Who said that? Matt, D? I think Shane said that today. I wrote it down. I can't understand my own handwriting, but that has helped me a lot. But yeah, that's what I've used in some of the places that I've actually seen those social post parties work.
Does anybody have a Facebook group? Is that something you've done? It's a good way to become a leader and provide value. Is that a tactic or tool that anybody here has used at all?
I've started. So I've created the Facebook page first, and I'm working through a private group that's going to start by inviting existing colleagues, right?
Yeah.
So that we can have discussions around things that are happening. It'll be kind of like a CEO forum, but a CISO forum, right? For people to discuss things. So it'll start off invite only, try to get the content, and then invite people on LinkedIn, right? Who hold, either security manager or, whoever would be the person responsible for security in the org to the group through LinkedIn, because I'm trying to create the draw back to us.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. No, we have multiple Facebook groups, going. There's one which is very active. It's SoCal Business Community, which has over 2,000 members now, and they're all within Southern California. So one of the things we tracked early on is the member has to be physically here in SoCal or doing business in SoCal. So And by doing so, by being picky about who should join, and they have to answer a couple of questions, we have been able to grow the group, with good quality. People still share what they want to share. That's fine, but at least we know that the members are fairly local, and they actually connect with each other, and they do collaborate and do some work together. So that's one group that we have created. Recently, I started another group for some of our football fans, who all went to school together, UT Austin, and there's an official group actually as part of the Texas Longhorns. And so when we have football watch parties, we announce it there, and we talk about it and so on. So there's a lot that you can do with groups. It just takes some time, some effort, some group building. You got to manage it well. You got to make sure it doesn't go out of hand. So it's not enough to say, let's go build it and it's all magically done. No, you got to, there's one more thing you got to do well. So that's the only thing with the group. So make sure you don't just start and stop. You got to keep going at it, and same thing with LinkedIn groups as well.
Yeah, I think providing value in those is key.
One more thing I wanted to say that nowadays, because trust is a very important thing in getting clients to do business with you. I mean, prospects to do, they're not clients yet, prospects to do business with you. One of the most important thing is what I do with my business is all my clients, I divide them into 3 basic groups. I divide them into A, B, and C. A are the group, these type of people who, when you make a phone call to them, they immediately, the conversation goes on, you just say, okay, can we have a Starbucks coffee or something? Everybody's ready to go. And it's a group that's very, very close to you, just like, they would come to help you and you would go to help them just like that. The groups B are also very good people who would come, but they're not the type of people who would call you unless you call them. This type of stuff, you said they're not the people. It's not that there's a friendship on that level.
Right.
Group C are the type of people who never call you, even if you call them, they never answer, or they only call you when they need you, or something like that. So the most time you should spend is on group A and a little bit on group B, because these are the people who will actually share your business. You see, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. You may know 1,000 people, but if they don't know you when they need something, that's how much you have exposed yourself, right? So for these are the type of people who will refer you because they've had the good experience with you, and referral is also comes from the heart, right? People don't want to refer unless they want to refer. They won't refer to you. But if you do something bad to somebody, I use the rule of 250. And everybody's been to a wedding in this group. Usually in a wedding, there are 250 people on either side, bride side and the groom side. 25 tables of 10 each, right? So the person who invited you for the wedding knows how many people. 250, right? Unless you know both the sides. So if you do bad to that person, how many potential people can he tell? 250, right? So that's my rule of 250. So if you do bad to one person, they'll be exposed to 250 people. But if you do good to them, how many referrals are you going to get? 3, 4, 5, 6? Bad spreads like fire, right? Good doesn't spread as much, right? So in order to do that, I go with the good clients, the A group, which automatically start referring to other people. And that's the best part of advertising, is by word of mouth. Right? You can have a resume, you can have your LinkedIn, all that. But a person who has had a direct personal relationship with you will be the best person that would refer you to somebody else. Yeah.
Sharad, if you don't mind me asking, it's like,
yes.
do you use any kind of like CRM in order to create the group? How do you?
I don't use a CRM as such, but what I normally do is, with all these people that I've set up over the years, I always give them a call. See, in my business, we do what is called an annual review, because we do financial services and estate planning and all that. So I do an annual review with the clients, and not everybody wants to do it. Okay, so you can't force them to meet with you, right? But you can send out a thing to these people and say, you know what, it's time for your annual review, just to see where they stand today. Things have changed in their lives. Somebody's got a new kid, or somebody's bought a new house. Something has happened. So the financial stuff is a dynamic thing, right? It's changed. So I call them, and then what they do is then they decide to do an annual review. That's when you get all these type of and then I ask them a simple question. Remember, one key I learned is you sell by asking questions. You never sell by giving answers.
Mm.
If you give answers, the people will start thinking, they'll say, oh, what, let me Google it. Let me ask somebody. Let me never sell by giving answers. Ask them a question, reply with a question. They will push themselves to the wall and they will automatically buy. They'll come, oh, you know what, maybe I need that. That's what I've learned very early in my business.
So
I never
brilliant.
give them the whole story of this, this, you are going to do this. It becomes overwhelming to them. So you've got to know when to stop. And another thing is when the person is ready to buy, learn to shut up. That's it. No more. Give them this, a pen, keep the cap in your hand, give them the pen here, sign on the dotted line. Keep the cap with you, otherwise they may take the pen and leave.
So Sharad, I have to do a separate fireside chat with you, but what I want to do is share great insights though. Love what you have shared here for sure.
Thank you, Sharad.
Cindy, we're going to do a rapid fire. No, great point, Sharad, no doubt. Rapid fire on the next 3 topics. I know I'm looking at the time. So the 3 areas were websites and webinars, which is what we're doing here, a type of, an event fireside chat. And then the third one is, of course, the advertising. Again, what to measure and importantly, where not to lose it, right? In the sense of getting, swept away by the maze. So again, quick points on all 3 websites. Events and webinars, and then third, of course, the advertising where you're actually spending money now. So,
Okay, quick fire it is.
quick fire.
So which one do you want first? And I'll be super
Let's
fast.
go with advertising first because it's kind of the holy grail. Everybody gets sucked up into spending money, but what should you be thinking when it comes time to spending money on ads?
Gotcha. So for sure, think about your goals. What's your goal? If you're going to spend $500 or $5,000 on ads, would that money be better spent by hiring, I don't know, a telemarketer to call people up or throwing an event, whatever? So I might just think first, like, what's my goal before I spend that money on ads? But once you go ahead and decide to spend it on ads, you could do something like a self-liquidating offer, for example. So maybe if you've got a quick thing you want to sell for, I don't know, $19, the thought is we want to be sure we're breaking even on a self-liquidating offer if at all possible, right?
Yep.
And a metric to look at is CPMs, like what's your cost per thousand in terms of views.
Impressions.
That's a really good metric to look at.
Yep.
And we want to keep that low. Like if you can keep that toward the price of the self-liquidating offer, that's what you want to go for. Rapid fire enough for you?
I love that. I think one way I look at it is ultimately, if that's a great insight, is if you can hire a customer with an advertisement for about the same cost that you spent, but then if you look at the LTV of that customer, so hopefully it's a recurring customer that's going to come back, and that's where you make the money, right? So you got them in, you spend the money on the cost of acquisition, but ultimately you're coming out ahead in a couple of months' time. So I think in as much as that's kind of my rule of thumb, I said, look, if I'm going to make $400-500 per customer every year, and if it's going to cost me like even $60-80 to acquire that client, I'm okay with that because now I'm going to end up ensuring that I'm going to make up that money later on as a customer stays put. Hopefully they stay put, though that's important too. But I'm assuming that you have the right value to provide them. So I think that's one way to look at when you're spending money on advertising. But yeah, if it's going to cost you more to hire, to acquire customers, then definitely you really want to examine that closely. Unless you have an unlimited startup fund, then let me know. So
I think have a plan too. Don't just like, oh, I'm just going to advertise like randomly, like have an exact plan. I'm going to attract new people with this excellent checklist or important thing. And then once they sign up for that, my next goal is to get on a call with them or get them to a seminar or webinar or whatever the thing is. Like have a plan, 1, 2, 3 step, not just like, oh, I'm going to advertise and see what happens. Not that anybody here would do that, but just to say, have a plan.
And I think in B2B, again, be wary that unless you're an e-commerce play where customers buy quickly, hopefully after they see your ad and click on it, most B2B will not happen that way. So they're going to be in your pipeline and they're going to be talking to you and having conversations. And until they warm up to you with some of the tactics that Sharad just shared earlier. They're not going to be ready to buy. So again, the key is you got to be wary of that. What is your pipeline? And are you going to be okay with that until that customer is ready to buy in 2 months, 3 months time frame, whatever your B2B pipeline is. So be aware of that as your leads are coming in. So, of course, the qualification process is going to be critical, as well. The second rapid fire, Cindy, was websites and landing pages. There's just so much content out there. Are there some tips on what creates stickier websites, what creates better conversions?
Yes. So rapid fire, when we have a website, I've learned from other people that we want it to tell who we're for. So that's our perfect customer, what we solve, and what we want them to do next. There can be more in there, but those are 3 good ones to go with. So who we're for, what we solve, what we want them to do next. So what do we want them to do next? If we're on the website, we want them to download something in exchange for an email address. So maybe we have a big ask and small ask. So small ask is get that PDF of that awesome 5 things not to do when you're trying to whatever your service is. And then the big ask might be book a trial, book an appointment, whatever. So you have 2 asks on there. In the same way, like if you're at an event, your ask is going to be, and I'm going to give you mine right now, text the word biz to me, and I'm going to give you all my free marketing master plan.
Yeah.
So you could use that on your website too. You can use it as an event, but wherever the thing is, be sure you ask somebody to take that next step if they want to. And for all of you who text in today, one of you will win my book, and I'll send you my book. So we'll have a winner.
So that's a great way for the ask, because you're giving something of value, but by the same token, you are offering up your contacts. So, potentially Cindy can educate you about what's happening, so that, somewhere along the way, her education will then turn into business for Cindy. But to the point, to Sharad's point, you're not buying at that point. At that point, you're just ready to work with Cindy, because you trust her enough and what she has to offer. So, I think if you can create that kind of a funnel, to me, that's the way to go. It's not a quick approach, but it takes time. But if you build it right, it's a very valuable approach.
So one more thing I wanted to say, see, for instance, if you send out any material, like I get so many materials from realtors, I get materials from dentists, if you send out material, I always follow up with that person within 72 hours. Otherwise, gone. If you're going to spend the money to put the 53-cent stamp on it, you make sure you pick up the phone and call that person. Okay. Otherwise, it's you're just wasting the money, because you know how much crap stuff we get in the mail, right? People just take it and dump it straight away. But if you call them and say, oh, did you get that material? If they know,
they know.
So it starts a conversation. So it's very important to do that. Yeah.
Very point. Very, very, very good point. So
follow up. Yes.
Follow up is very important.
Follow up. Yes, sir. Okay. So I think
Sanjay, if it's okay, it's like a quick question for you, Cindy. It's like which landing page tool would you recommend actually? Which one do you use personally?
Yeah, so we use and I sell Kpis, which is the one that we love, and the landing pages are included. And if you want to talk about that offline, we have a deal where you get extra time with us and set up and all that.
It's called Kpis. Can you?
Yeah, you put the link in there, but
I will put the link in. Just give me 1 second.
They used to be called Infusionsoft once upon a time, out of Arizona. They're called Kpis now, and I've used them. I've also used MailChimp as well, and there is HubSpot. There are different tools out there, but definitely Kpis has been around. So do connect with Cindy and see how she can help you on that.
Thank you so much, Sanjay.
Yeah, by the way, it is open for Q&A, so it is an open-ended. I think I'm done with my questions for Cindy. I think it was really good conversation today with Cindy, with Michael, with
thank you, Cindy, for all your
with Dee, with Sharad. Thanks, Alan, for sharing some points as well. So yeah, let's open it up for Q&A and let's talk. Yeah.
Sure. Cindy, one more question. It's like email marketing. It's like, what's your favorite choice for email marketing?
Same thing. So I use Kpis. I just popped the link in there that gives you a free trial. And we use that for email marketing, CRM, marketing automation, landing pages. You can do e-com in it. And I have a special deal right now that's like, I want to say it's $50. I have to double check for a month for several months. Like, it's such a good all-in-one. That's the one I like. Like Sanjay said, there's tons of cool tools out there. I have to say the tactic is what's most important. Like Sharad said, the follow-up or getting referrals or whatever the things. And so like, that's what my book's about, is the 7 things that we do most with our clients, the 7 tactics. And so once you have the tools, you can do whatever you want, but like, yes, got to follow up and all that cool stuff. Yeah. I don't know if that helped.
Well,
It does. Thank you so much.
See, when we were talking about websites and landing pages, I used to have a website before, which was not doing very well. So I'm doing a much more proactive one right now. It should be up, another week or something. There I've also included, see, in my business, I have clients who have investments in, mutual funds, stocks, and all this type of stuff, right? So I have created a link for them to check their accounts, because many times people say, how do I check it? They call me or then I go. So I've created a link directly on my website, where they can click on that one link, go directly to this, and it makes it easy. I mean, they enter their dates of birth, last 4 of their social and all that for privacy. But try to make that website not just to show what your business is about, but how they can use it for other things. Every time they click on any one of those tabs, it comes out with an explanation of what all that is. So it makes it like that much more helpful and educational. And I keep changing the videos, and I keep changing the content, ever so often. So these are things that are important, because nowadays, how things are, people are inundated with so much stuff, so much information. People just go crazy, they don't know where to start, where to stop, Yeah.
Correct. I agree with you so much that there's so many things out there. It's hard to know where to start. So that's my pitch, to text me the oGoing word to my phone number, because then my little tool helps you know what to do next. But can I leave you with a gem that I heard from someone this week? And Sanjay, I think you're going to love this. I was talking to a guy, Casey Gleaton, another marketer, and he was telling me that for all KPIs he tracks and for his clients, they all have a goal to grow that KPI by 5% per month. And so if you're tracking how many people are in your Facebook group or on your list or at your webinar or visiting your website, or you're booking client calls with or prospect calls, whatever those that you pick to track, if you can make a goal to grow each one of those by 5% per month, you will skyrocket your business. And I thought he was brilliant when he was talking about that. I'm going to be speaking at Kpis convention next week, actually, in person live. And he's there too. I'm totally going to his talk, because when I heard him say that the other day, I thought I got to bring to Sanjay's group, because it's so relevant to what we're talking about.
And it's a power of compounding. So I think it just compounds itself, because, and importantly, it keeps you focused, right? So every month you are working harder to get that extra 5%. But if you look at 5% per month, you're talking about over 100% already, in less than a year. So that's how fast this thing grows, right? So, it just keeps compounding itself. And Michael, what are you doing, if I may ask you, with your outreach website? I mean, how are you trying to find new customers, with your new business now?
Thanks for asking. So we're not doing a lot actively right now. We have done a small amount of Bing ads that were targeted, and we did get some results, but I've been focusing on network events. So we tend to get business from lawyers, people that are in adjacent industries, and service providers.
Right.
So for example, I went this week to the OCTPA. It's hosted by SidePath Communications. So they had other people that came there, and I got a chance to meet decision makers, IT executives that were all there, and that was a perfect venue.
Yes.
It was just excellent. I also got to see peers that I worked with, like Stearns Lending and Impact Mortgage and some other ones. So it was nice to reconnect with some folks I hadn't seen in a while. But right now we're focusing through partnerships. Although we're marketing directly as NetCentropy, it's much more valuable for us to approach a company that has a marketing machine already, and we can just basically be their extension of their company. Like maybe they don't have a security practice, right? We're the bolt-on security practice that allows them to offer that service. And so we offer a profit share. So they actually make a chunk of the revenue from the services that we're offering.
No, I like how you're approaching it, with, better ROIs, by having the face-to-face events.
Yeah.
Working, and then, the partnership again, where where you are partnering with.
I can tell you in the past, I had a IT services company that was based in Ontario, California, back in 2003 to 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And what we did was we had a call center in the Philippines that we set up in Makati. And we had these people take Info USA data. I'm probably aging myself, but they used to have these things called CDs that had data on it. Before that, it was reel to reel.
Oh, yeah.
And we would take this data and sort by SIC code, company size, and revenue. Right. And we targeted companies that were between 25 and 250 users because the sales cycle was much smaller.
Right.
You could develop a relationship with the owner, and they're unlikely to get rid of you if you do a good job.
Yes.
So then our call center would do basically an appointment setting campaign with the offer of a free IT assessment. This is all script based, so it was very easy and low cost for us to do. We had almost 100% close ratio.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah, which today I don't know if that's going to work. For what we do now, there has to be established trust and a relationship. It's not quite such an easy task of growing the business now.
But I'm sure you guys got better, right, with how to leverage the data, the whole calling script, how to develop a relationship with the owners, all of that.
I'm the former CEO.
There's a lot more than just call out, right? You guys were quite methodical about it. Yeah.
We were, and I'm the former CTO of Genesis Communications. So we had our own predictive dialer. We recorded every phone call for internal purposes, and then weekly we would review with the team. Okay, when that guy said that, you should have used this rebuttal.
Very true.
Trying to just improve that over time, but we haven't done any cold calling for this company. I've reached out directly on LinkedIn to folks and things like that, but I haven't really done anything mass market or giant ad campaigns or anything.
Michael, just a curious question, since you're talking about it. Do you think it's like there has been a gradual shift towards, rather than outbound marketing, it's much becoming like an inbound marketing, in which it's like, unless and until you have like a value for the user, an organic way of doing things, rather than it's like spending so much time onto like calling and then pitching what you're trying to do?
I think you're right, because even in other industries, within Genesis, one of our main industries was the mortgage and banking, right? And so they would do a lot of outreach. I internally refer to it as dialing for dollars, right? They're getting these lead campaigns and they're just blasting the phones. And there's some reasons that are, legal wise, people are not doing this anymore, from, do not call lists, things like that. But the thing is, I think the returns started going down over time. I think people just, especially with all the spam and scam calls we get nowadays, pretending to be the IRS, the Social Security Administration, people are just not answering the phone anymore.
No answering. Yeah, and I think you're right. So on my iPhone, I have that already, like, put
the robocaller
silent mode, so it will go to voicemail. So yeah, I think the days of cold calling are pretty much over at this point. And I think to what we talked earlier, Rohan, you missed maybe the initial 5 minutes, and Cindy can talk a little bit more on that, about the whole educational side of marketing. How important has that become? And you alluded to yourself, it's all about education. I think the more your buyer or prospective customer knows about you and what all values you can provide, and as long as you are very true about it, and where you can't, you're very open about what you can do as well. I think they love that, and I think they will eventually get interested in buying with you. So I think it's that whole relationship building, from building awareness all the way down to getting them ready to hopefully do business with you someday soon. So Yeah, I think so. It's a harder road, but it is the real road. I don't think there are two ways about it. Yeah, you can get lucky sometimes, with a lead that comes in and quickly changes, but I don't think that's happening anymore the way it used to before. Yeah.
I think it's like a personal, it depends upon industry to industry. I understand it's like Sharad is definitely going to have like a different opinion because he belongs to like a very different industry, but especially into the tech industry, because it's very competitive. Gone is the days in which it's like outbound marketing, it's like is going to give you a lot of success. It's all about like, this is also changing. This industry is much more becoming like a solution based industry, not a service based industry, wherein it's like you're just pitching about, oh, we are good in this technology. People don't care. What they really care is like, are you a solution basis? Like, what is your solution? Is it going to give me value? Is it going to give me, it's like, is it going to help me to save something? Okay, I'm using A. Can I use B? What is the advantage of B? So it's more getting towards that particular thing. And I think it's like, especially the millennial generation or any generation which is going to come, they're going to make the decisions based upon what they see on Google, because Google has established the trust factor. So unless and until they see, are you creditable, it's like at XYZ place, they're not going to make the decision. So it is what it is. So you always have to be at the top of the list. It's like doing things in the most organic way, and then trying to build the brand would be like, it's like an organic way of doing things is only give you like more money, or else it's like if you're just going to burn the money on cold calls and everything, I consider that that's going to burn money for us, especially. It's like we get about like in a month about like 70 to 80 leads, but those leads are real leads because people come to us saying that, okay, I need this technology done, and we saw like you had a portfolio, you had a landing page, and you have created it. So real leads are going to be always real leads. It's like it's not going to go away.
Very true. And I think to Michael's point as well is find your audience. Your audience is there locally, right? If you go find the right events where you can see them,
absolutely,
get to connect with them, build relationships, and even do some partnering, in terms of find the right organization that you can partner with. So to Google's point, there was a quote I was going to share, which I didn't share, is very interesting. That Google only loves you when it finds out that a lot of others love you as well. So be aware. So it's very
good.
Interesting that don't fall in love with Google so much, because believe me, they only love you when many others love you as well, and they know that. So
I know. It's
on that note, I think we'll schedule our next chat in November. I'll send you all some dates. We're going to do one more with Cindy here. I love the insight she has to share. I'm going to invite all of you again. I'll make sure Sharad doesn't talk too much in the next. Just kidding, Sharad. Your points were awesome, and I love what you all shared. I think very practical, very commonsensical, and I love what you said. So maybe I'm serious. I'll have to do a chat with you later on as well. But and I think this one we think about conversations as a way of building relationships, in some kind of an online setting, and and let's see what we can talk about when we do that chat. So I like that topic. I think it's very hard to create that conversation online. So what are some ways to think about that? And then if you do that well, how do you maybe build on that and hopefully get some leads out of that. So again, we'll share some more on that. But Cindy, last thoughts on this, Chad?
My last thoughts are what my friend Casey said is pick your top KPIs. He didn't say that part. I'm saying pick your top things you want to track.
Yes.
How many people, how many appointments, how many downloads, how many people at your event, how many sales you have. And then his point, grow those by 5% a month. Go for it.
5% a month. I think we will remember the 5% and some of Sharad's key points as well that I know Cindy was taking some notes. So we'll share with you after the chat. And many others as well. Michael also shared a lot of good points, and so did Rohan and Mr. V earlier. Mr. Divergis is still there, right? So again, thanks everybody for joining. We will see you in November. There is a chat going on. Feel free to connect with everybody who is here in the chat. Download the chat. If you cannot download, then send me a note and I'll send you all the chat afterwards. And we're recording this live on YouTube, and we'll send you a link to this as well. So if you want to go back and look at some of the key points from today, please do. Have a great Halloween. This Sunday happens to be my birthday as well, so we'll celebrate.
No
Oh,
way.
wish you-
On
Hey,
Sunday?
happy early birthday, Mr. Sanjay.
Me
Thank
too.
you.
Well, I'm not going to ask you how old you are. I'm going to ask you how young are you?
I feel young all the time, my friend, staying
I
close to
just
you.
had a birthday 2 weeks ago.
Mine's tomorrow.
Cindy's
Oh.
birthday is
Oh,
tomorrow.
happy
And
birthday.
Oh,
birthday,
happy
Cindy.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Cindy, to come.
Sanjay,
Cindy,
happy
we're
birthday.
so close to each other. A bunch of scorpions here. Just kidding. The good scorpions. That is.
It was
Works.
a nice to talk with all of you. It was just very nice to meet this group. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
all.
much.
It was great
Everybody.
weekend.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you,
See you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a
Bye,
good
guys.
Friday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.